Hey everybody. So, in this video, I want to talk to you guys about your outline for your rhetorical analysis essay. So, this paper, this document that's on your screen right now, is in your Black Rhetorical Analysis Resources folder, which is on your Schoology page. So, make sure that you look for that. It's in the Unit 1 folder, and follow along with me. So hopefully after this, there won't be any confusion. So first and foremost, page setup. Again, remember that all of your essays for my class need to be 12-point font, Times New Roman, double spaced. You need to have your MLA heading, your MLA header. You need to have a title for your essay. Okay. Use your MLA formatting video that I shared with you the beginning of last semester, which is still on Schoology, by the way. Make sure that you look for that and review that if you need help. This paper is going to be a minimum of 3 pages. Try to keep it between 3 and 7. Don't go over 7. Honestly, if you're doing this correctly, the sweet spot is about 4 or 5 pages. The example essay that I gave you in that resources folder that I talked about, that example is 4.5 pages, and it doesn't even include the Kairos paragraph. So, if you use that as kind of a guide or an example, you can kind of see where I'm getting at as far as how long this might be. So let's talk about it. First things first, once you've set up your paper, what are your paragraphs going to look like? Your first paragraph is going to be your introduction, right? Obviously. And your introduction is going to be fairly short. Look back at your notes on introductions. You want to start with something to grab my attention. You can call it a hook, you can call it a web, whatever, but you want to grab your reader's attention. Not with some sort of cheap gimmick, but with something that's going to, make me want to keep reading. This could be an interesting quote from the article. This could be an interesting quote from an outside source that's relevant to the article. This could be an interesting fact that you read from the article, whatever. Or personal anecdote, something going on in the country right now that's relevant to this article that you think is interesting, whatever. So start with a hook, and then you're going to have a couple of sentences where you're going to give me some context. And in this context, you want to do a couple of things. You want to give me the author's name and title of the article that you're doing this analysis over. Okay, Amanda Ripley. Make sure that you mention her. Make sure that you mention the title of the article. You want to give some context for the topic. Why do we care about political prejudice in the United States right now? What's going on in this country between factions of people that might be relevant? I mean, it's not like we didn't just recently have a storming of the Capitol by people who disagreed with the election results, right? Because that totally wasn't a thing that just happened. It's not like we have a growing divide in this country between those on the right and those on the left. So talk about that just a little bit, just to give us an idea that the article in question is relevant to us, the reader. Why should we care about Amanda Ripley's article? Then you're going to give me your thesis. Remember, your thesis is the lifeblood of your paper. And for a rhetorical analysis, you want to give it, it's an argument paper, so you're arguing that this article is or is not effective. So it's an argument, so you're going to take a position, but you also want to outline where your direction of your paper is going to go. So you're going to give me an outline argument, which is that combo thesis. Go back and look at your notes on thesis statements. Anyway, it's going to look something like this. Amanda Ripley's article is overall effective, overall somewhat effective, overall ineffective because of or due to strong ethos, interesting logos, hilarious pathos, and timely kairos, or whatever you want to say about those 4 appeals. If you think that the ethos was irrelevant, then mention in your thesis irrelevant ethos. If you thought the pathos was inappropriate, then mention inappropriate pathos in your thesis. Okay, but you want to outline the 4 appeals in your thesis, and you want to put them in the order in which that you're going to explain them in your paper. So if the first appeal that you mentioned in your thesis is ethos, then that better be the first paragraph that you discuss. And you need to go in that order that's described in your thesis. Once you give your intro, then you want to give me a brief summary of what's the article about. Act as if I'd never read her article before. What could you tell me about it? In what way, or what are the major things that I need to know about it? Now, again, keep it short. You don't want to go into every single point that she makes, but you do want to hit the big ideas. Okay? So just give me a general idea of what's her article about. Then you have 4 body paragraphs. Because you've got 4 appeals, you're going to have a body paragraph for each one. So you're going to have a body paragraph for ethos, for pathos, for logos, for kairos. And in each one, I want you to start that paragraph with just a brief, like 1-sentence explanation of what is logos, what is kairos, what is ethos, what is pathos, so that I know that you know what you're talking about. Okay? Then it's just an idea of where you take the quotes that you've gathered from the annotations that you've made over reading your article. You give me a quote, you explain how that quote is effective or ineffective in supporting the author's claim. Okay, now this means that you're going to need to establish what is the author's claim. And you do that, and I forgot to mention this, but you do that in the summary paragraph. Don't quote their claim, put it in your own words. What is the author's claim? What is the thing that she is trying to prove? That should be in your summary. And you need to reference it in your body paragraphs where you talk about, here's the pathos that she used. Was it appropriate or not in supporting her claim? Why or why not? Explain yourself. Explain your reasoning. Do like we did in class. Okay? For each body paragraph, you're probably looking at 2 or 3 good quotes for each. So 2 or 3 quotes for pathos, 2 or 3 for logos, 2 or 3 for kairos, 2 or 3 for logos. Logos, ethos, pathos, kairos. Anyway, so you want 2 or 3 good quotes for each body paragraph. I would lean more towards 3, but you do you. Okay? And again, how do these quotes demonstrate the author's claim? Are they effective or not in doing that? Why or why not? Think back to the notes that we talked about. With pathos, the humor that she used. Was it appropriate for her audience? Was it appropriate for her target? Maybe she didn't use humor. Maybe she used sob stories. Whatever emotion she used, her anger, her sob stories, her humor, whatever. Was it appropriate for her audience, her intended audience? And explain who that is. And was it appropriate for what she was talking about? Explain why or why not. Here's a quote. Here's a pun that she used. Give me the pun. Explain why it wasn't or was effective, given those things. For logos, she's got data. She's got information. She's got facts. Are her facts true? Are her facts cited? Are her facts useful, relevant? Are they convincing? Are they interesting? Do they tie back to her claim? Do they prove her claim? Does she tell us where she got them from? And explain. For her ethos, does she establish her own credibility, her own character? Does she establish credibility and character of people that she quotes from? If yes, great. What was that credibility? What was that character? How does she do that? Does she do it well? Why or why not? And then for Kairos, is this article relevant now? Was it relevant at the time that it was written? Will it be relevant again in the future? Why or why not? Find me quotes that talk about the relevancy of its timing. Look for dates, look for references to things that are current, like maybe celebrities or issues that are facing the country or politicians that are currently or recently in office. And that's your paper. And then at the end, you're going to have a conclusion. You're just basically going to re-emphasize, not copy and paste, but re-emphasize your thesis. Overall, this paper was or wasn't effective because of these reasons. Here's why it worked. Here's why it didn't. You're not bringing up any new information. You're just briefly kind of summarizing, re-emphasizing what you already said in your paper, just to kind of bring things to a close. And that's it. That's your paper. I hope this makes sense. Good luck to you. If you haven't started reading already, make sure that you do, and make sure that you annotate your article just like I showed you in class.